Okay, hello everybody. Thank you so much for joining. We are continuing our Lingo webinar series today with the DELE exam, the Diploma of Spanish as a Foreign Language. And our agenda today, very quickly, I'll do an introduction of who we are, talk very quickly about the DELE and why it matters and what to look for in an instructor. Hand it over to Mariana, who we're very lucky to have today, to cover some mistakes to avoid, and then close out. So who are we? My name is Ian. I'm the founder of Lingo, a global mobility company. And this is Mariana, a very experienced Spanish instructor, as well as a certified DELE examiner. We're very excited to have. Thank you for coming, Mariana. So the DELE exam, why does it matter? It is basically the way to unlock the world with Spanish proficiency. It is the most internationally recognized Spanish certification. You'll join over 600 million Spanish speakers worldwide. It gives you advantages once you have this certification for immigration. It's also accepted at thousands of institutions in over 100 countries, for university. And it boosts confidence and real communication once you have that piece of paper in your hand. And of course, it is valid for life. So if you're going to prepare for it, right, if you're preparing for university, if you're looking for a job, looking to relocate, retire somewhere in Latin America or Spain, you're likely going to want to, start preparing for this exam early. And I think one of the big questions on everybody's mind these days is, can I prepare with AI? And my answer to that is, I think AI is a great tool, but only for a couple of use cases, right? To be competitive, I still believe that you need expert help. So where is AI going to do you really well in preparing for the DELE? If you want just, a ton of repetition, right, on vocabulary and grammar rules, that's generally not the best use of time, right, with someone like Mariana when you only have 45 or 50 minutes. And you can also just generate infinite prompts, right, in this sort of very low stakes practice arena. But someone like Mariana is going to have access to confidential material that's not published, that an AI tool is never going to be trained on. They have to go through annual trainings and updates on how to accurately, assess a candidate. And obviously, they've built many, many programs for students just like you. So use with caution is my statement there. And then should I prepare at a test center? Yes, but there's a couple of things to watch out for. The first one is large group sizes. Generally these test centers are working with 5, 8, maybe 10 students at a time. And another big thing to watch out for is if the instructor is not only an experienced teacher, but also a certified DELE examiner. And so this type of profile is actually quite rare in the teaching community. And it's just something that you want for preparing for this particular test. So with that said, we are joined by this very particular profile, an experienced Spanish teacher and a certified DELE examiner in Mariana. So Mariana, I will hand things over to you now and take it away.
So thank you so much for the invitation, Jan. It's a pleasure to be here at Lingo. So now we are going to see some easy mistakes to avoid with DELE examiner. First of all, talking about the DELE format. So the exam consists in the following sections. So we have the reading comprehension, listening comprehension, writing, expression and interaction, and oral expression and interaction. So the number one that we have here is not managing time properly. Many students spend too much time on one task, for example, and then they rush the rest. Imagine a student that writes a perfect first text, but then he has only 2 minutes to fill the answer sheet, for example. And when you prepare yourself with a DELE examiner, we can teach you time strategies, mini timers, and good enough answers. And you'll be able to learn exactly how many minutes to spend on each task so you finish everything calmly. Let's go to the number 2 that we have here, that is ignoring task instructions. This is one of the biggest reasons people fail. Example, we have a task that says something like write a formal email with 3 points. But the students write something like, hola amigo, ¿qué tal? And forgets 1 point. So at Lotalingo, we can train you to identify, register, propose, and require points in just a few minutes. You learn formulas for formal texts, informal text, complaints, invitation, and this makes the exam much more easier. On the number 3, we have writing too much or too little. For example, in a DELE B1, task is recommended to write between 100 to 120 words. And if the student writes something like 45 words, is not enough to show the level of the student. In the other hand, we have like a student that writes 200 words, and then it's possible to have more mistake, he will spend more time, and will have more stress. When you study with a teacher, you prepare by practicing writing with various tasks so that you can recognize on average how many words are in a writing text in your handwriting with only a glance. The number 4, there is overusing complicated grammar incorrectly. Students want to impress but make mistakes. So saying something like, I want to goes, or the people is happy, por ejemplo, las personas es felices, ¿no? A Spanish teacher will teach you like the safe grammar structure and specific for your level for sure. The number 5 that we have here is not organizing your writing. So DELE writing structure varies by level. We have from A1 to C2 level, but generally it involves distinct tasks like email summaries, essays, and require specific formats, connectors, and the formal, informal languages, focusing on clear organization with introduction, development, and conclusion. So it's very important to use an appropriate structure when you are doing the test. And if the student writes everything in one huge paragraph, for example, with no connectors, it's totally wrong for a DELE. So your writing becomes more clear if you work with a professional that will help you to prepare, and as much practice you will, as much as you practice, your write will be better. Then we have here the number 6, that is mismanaging the audio in comprensión auditiva, so in listening section. Many students panic at listening part, so they missing a sentence or stop listening and then lose everything else. It's important that you practice your listening comprehension skills by listening to different types of audios with different accents used in the 21 Spanish-speaking countries. And it's necessary to identify the key words in the audio. So not necessarily you need to understand everything, but if you understand the key words and also reading options first, listening the general idea, you will understand everything and you will have less stress, basically. The number 7 that we have is memorizing speaking for the oral. So examiner can the examiner can detect a memorized monologue immediately. For example, if a student talk like a robot, something like, I'm going to talk about my neighborhood, which is very interesting and wonderful, and it sounds unnatural. With a good teacher, you learn flexible structure, but not script. So you also learn how to have natural actions. For example, let me think, well, in my experience, that this is something natural that we use in our talking generally, and it increases a lot your score. When you have the number 8, we talk about forgetting the communicative function. So that is not about the perfect grammar, but it's about communicating. So if the task says something like make a complaint and the student only writes a description instead, for example, the hotel was big and nice, but he never complains, he did not achieve the goal requested in the task. And a DELE examiner will help you to learn the exactly formulas in each function. For example, how to complain, to do a suggestion, an invitation, an argument, an opinion, and then you know exactly what the examiner expects. The number 9 that we have here is avoiding spelling accent mistakes. So especially in the B1 and C2, we have typical errors like tu versus tu, a versus a por qué, haber y haber. If you listen to me, everything is equal. No, it's the same. But when we write it, it's very important that we use the correct accent in this case. So if you study with Lotalingo, for example, we can give you super clear mini rules for fix this forever in your life. And we practice short dictation and quick corrections exercise, so your writing will become clear. And last but not least, we have here not interacting naturally with the oral exam. Some candidates they answer like a robot, or they give some like a monosyllabic words, answers like what do you think about public transportation, for example? It's good, and then stops. So in this case, it's not possible to evaluate this candidate. It's very important to give a complete answer and ask for clarification. If you do not understand something, you can do that. Like, can you repeat, please? Sorry, I do not understand. It's not a problem to do this kind of things. And basically react naturally. Like, I see, absolutely, interesting. You sound confident and communicative, which is exactly what DELE wants. So basically, that's it, what we have for today. Thank you so much.
You can book with Mariana directly on Lotalingo at this short link here that you see in the slide. And as you can see, the DELE exam can be quite complicated, lots of things to watch out for. So thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you later.